Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, we have another beautiful day, as you can see. Beautiful day, not one cloud in the sky. And it is my lunchtime. So little Miss Alaska Prepper is going to join us today for a walk. And as you can see, dog is right there. And I wanted to talk about something. And I hope you guys aren't getting too bored of me making a video just walking and talking about something, but this is something that I think is very important. And I've seen this attitude in a lot of not only comments, in this channel, but a lot of comments also in other channels. And I think that this attitude is maybe missing something. All right, they're maybe missing some information or some forethought about what I'm going to talk about here, because it's not something that I've heard covered very often. And the attitude is this. The attitude is that, why do you bother prepping? What are you going to do after your preps run out? And I do believe that I've said this on several occasions on previous videos. And that is that being prepared is a way to give yourself time to transition into whatever comes after a crisis, whatever crisis that may be. So for example, let's say that you lose your job and you have a full pantry. And when I say prepared, I don't just mean a full pantry of food, but I like to use food because everyone eats. But let's say you lose your job and you have a full pantry. You can use that pantry in order to help yourself transition into a new job. You can use that pantry in order to not have to worry about paying for food for the number of days, weeks, months that it may take you to gain employment again. So it's not an end-all be-all. Prepping, being prepared, having preps put away, it's not an end-all be-all. And the attitude that I'm talking about is people that say, well, your preps aren't going to save you. They're only going to get you from point A to point B. What are you going to do after point B? You should have skills. You should be raising animals. You should be raising your own food and all of those things. And I agree with all of that 100%. We should be working on our skills. We should be trying to grow our own foods as much as possible. If not, at least learning how. This is the first year I'm dipping my toes into the water of trying to learn how to grow my own stuff, right? But I wanted to bring something up that I think is important, and I think that a lot of people forget about. Because we also have, preppers within the community who say, well, what happens, if you have to bug out? Ladies and gentlemen, what about those people who can't bug out, number one? What about those people that can't grow their own foods because of the situation that they are in? Maybe they live in a small apartment. Maybe they live in a city. And for whatever reason, they cannot afford to leave. Maybe they cannot afford to have an acre of land or 10 acres of land or however many acres someone would deem it necessary to be able to be self-reliant. And another thing, what about elderly people who really don't have someone to take care of them, who maybe live in an apartment, who don't have the availability of being able to bug out? What do those people do? Do they not prep just because they can't grow a garden? Do they not prep just because they can't bug out? Sure, there's always something on the other side, and that's the side that we want to get to as far as preps. Now I'm going to go ahead and walk by these loud dogs, and I'll come back after we walk by them. That way you don't have to hear their barking so much. So like I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, this attitude that you have to be growing your own food, that you have to be raising your own animals, that you have to have all of these skill sets in order to survive. No, you don't. When it comes to prepping, you need to have enough stuff to get to the other side. When it comes to self-reliability, self-reliance, yes, it is good if you have skills. It is good if you have land. It is good if you can grow your own food, raise your own animals for protein. But don't listen to people that tell you that you have to be able to know all these things. If not, you can't do it. Because I personally feel that that message will set you up for failure. Think of all the life-changing events that have occurred throughout history. They've always had a beginning and an end. And that's what I prep for. I prep in order to be able to get to the other side of that life-changing event. Am I saying that you shouldn't grow your own food? That you shouldn't raise your own animals? Absolutely not. I think that's a great thing. I think we should all be doing that. Someone reminded me the other day in the comments about the Victory Gardens during World War II. How they have been replaced with front lawns. And I understand that there's a lot of cities that won't even let you grow a garden in your front yard. Some of them probably not in your backyard. Some cities won't even let you collect rainwater. What it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen, is this. You do what you can. You do the best that you can with what you have. Do you really think that I could bug out? I mean, I do have a plan in case things go south. But without the use of my vehicle, I wouldn't be able to bug out. I couldn't walk 20 miles, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I probably could, but very slowly. Not only am I a fat body, but in addition to that, I have a lot of mechanical problems as far as my joints go. And I really won't get into that too much, but it's the fact, and I'm not the only one. There's many people that have arthritis. You know, one of the things that's wrong with me is I have several tears in my knees and my shoulders. I wouldn't be able to don on a 70-pound backpack and trek 20 miles while pulling security. But that's not what we prep for. We prep so that we can get from point A to point B with as little disturbance to our daily lives as possible. You prep so that you can have toilet paper. When people that are thinking out of emotions run the stores out of toilet papers, right? I didn't rush to the store to get toilet paper when I saw that it was all getting cleared out. On the contrary, when I saw that there was toilet paper in my last Costco run, I picked one up because I thought that one of my friends may need it. So I got one. I don't need it. Any of you that have been watching my channel for a while know that. But I want to caution you into falling into the idea that prepping is not essential. Prepping is essential. Even if you know how to hunt, even if you know how to grow a garden, even if you have livestock, all that stuff, prepping is essential. Ladies and gentlemen, what happens when you're working on your garden or you're walking around your property and you fall down and break your leg? And now let's say you lived in a family of 2 or a family of 3 or 4. Let's say you had a family of 4. You're walking in your garden, you fall down, you break your leg or you break your hip, whatever it is. Your workforce just got reduced by 25%. Do you think that you're going to be able to produce as much with 25% less workforce? Now, I don't know about you, but if I have a garden and I have animals and everything like that, and I live with a family of 4, and something happens to me, I would like to know that I have items set aside just in case I can't, or we as a family cannot harvest everything that we planted or do the things that we need to do right there and then, because I know that I can rely on my preps to get me through. And that's the main point of this video, is that I want to make sure that anyone who reads comments like that I want to make sure that anyone who listens to people that say prepping is not the way to go, you have to do this and this and that, have they really thought about those people that cannot do those things? Wherein comes community, ladies and gentlemen. Here I am talking about, what about the elderly? What about people that live in apartments? What about people that are disabled? Therein comes community, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most important parts, if not the most important part of prepping, is knowing your neighbors. Having a meal with your neighbors every once in a while. Understanding what their ideology is. Now that, I feel, is a pretty important part of being prepared, is knowing how your neighbors think. And knowing if they're prepared. Are they in line with being prepared for a storm, power outage? You may want to have a talk with them and plant a seed. Hey, what would you do if we lost power for 2 weeks like we did a few years back? Would you be able to keep your heater running? Would you have enough food, or would you be able to run your refrigerator? Do you have a generator? Because I heard that one of those small generators will power a refrigerator for a real small amount of gasoline. Those are the kind of questions that you can bring up that will let you know how prepared they are. And those are the seeds that you can plant so that they can maybe think about it next time they have a power outage that maybe lasts 2 or 3 hours or a day. They can think about maybe taking some action and getting a little bit prepared, which is better than nothing, right? But that was the message that I wanted to put out to the ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure how well I did as far as relaying to you exactly where I'm coming from. But like I said, I wanted to take this and use it as a learning opportunity, because some people speak from where they're at and not from where they can see themselves at in 10, 20 years. For example, as I'm improving my property, as I'm improving my home, I try to think, AP, how are you going to be able to get rid of all this snow in 15, 20 years when you're 60 years old, 70 years old? How are you going to be able to do it? And I'm like, well, you know what? If I place this here and do this with my driveway and level out my ground here, and I build some sidewalks around my house where it's nice and level, I'll be able to do it a lot easier as long as I have the assistance of a good snowblower, right? Or, well, maybe one of the things I need to think about here later on in the next year or two is investing in a good plow truck and maybe making a little bit of money on the side, you know, by plowing other people's drives and roads and things like that. So that's how I try to think. I try to think ahead of time. What am I going to need in 5 or 10 years? And what position am I going to be able to do the things that I do today, whether I have to be assisted in doing it or not? I have really good neighbors, and they're a lot younger than I am, but they're really good people. And I have no doubt whatsoever that if I called up my neighbor and said, hey man, can you really help me with this? I can't do this on my own, that he'd be down in a minute. You know why? Because he knows that I would do the same. So community is very important. But you can't just think about the now. Sure, right now, if I had to bug out and put on a backpack and bug out, man, I would be hurting really bad, but I could probably do it. Could I do it in another 10 years? Probably not. So we may have to make some plans on how we're going to do that. But I wanted to direct this especially towards those people that are in a position or in a time in their lives when there's nothing that they can do about it. I mean, if someone reads a comment like that, who lives in an apartment, who can't move out, who lives by themselves, whose family is not nearby, and they're like, well, what am I prepping for if I can't do all these other things? Why am I even prepping? I don't want you to think that you need to stop being prepared just because you can't do all of those other things. Many people can't grow their own vegetables. Many people can't grow their own food. Many people can't even start a fire. But guess what? If you have matches, you can start a fire. Guess what? If you stocked up on green beans, you got some veggies. And if you stocked up on dried goods, you have food. For how long? For however long you stocked up. It's going to give you time to get through that crisis. What is that going to do for you? And make it to the other side. And who knows what's on the other side? We don't know what's on the other side. This thing we're going through right now, it's not just a health issue. It's an economy issue. It's a weather issue. It's a crop issue. We're going through a lot of things right now. I remember I did a video not too long ago called The Perfect Storm or something like that. And that's what we're in right now, ladies and gentlemen. But it's like I said, I think we're like in the first inning, first or second inning. It's a drawn out process. So don't listen to people that tell you that you shouldn't prep, that you should be doing this or that, because obviously they're not in a position that restricts them from doing some of the things that many people cannot do. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to keep beating this horse to death, okay, because it is my lunchtime and I have to start walking back home now. So we'll talk to you guys later. Hey, leave in the comments, what are some ideas that you have for people that can't bug out? You know, like growing an indoor garden, that's a good thing to do. You know, it may not be much, but it's something. It's something that you can supplement your preps with. You know, if you live in a suburban area and you have a garage, you can raise rabbits. That's something you can do, right? If things get out of control, you can maybe have some wood, some plywood, or some OSB that you can board up your windows with, that you can handle yourself. Those are preps that you can have and keep for a while. You know, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, you know I'm an advocate of self-defense in whichever form you deemed necessary or whatever you are comfortable with. As long as, of course, you are training and you are proficient with whatever tool you decide to have to defend yourselves and your property should you ever have to. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I hope that you guys got something out of this. Like I said, leave your comments in the bottom and let me know what you think about this issue. Because, you know, it's one of the things that somewhat bothers me a bit. We tend to forget about one of our most valuable resources, and that is those people that came before us. That's what we tend to forget about. We tend to forget about those that paved the way and were here before us. And that's one of the things that I prep for. I believe in charity. And I believe in taking care of those that can't take care of themselves. But as I always say, I will only do that if my family's taken care of. So take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Do what is right for you and your family first. Because if you don't, then what's it all for? Having said that, thank you again very much for joining in today. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper. I'm out.